This tutorial video aims to show you how to take Matterport data from your Matterport scanner through into the FULmax system. To start off with, we need to get the Matterport pack file from the Matterport website. To do that, you can just search for downloading the Matterpack bundle, and you do this by logging into my.matterport.com, and you can follow the instructions here and it will show you how to extract the information you require. Once this information has been extracted, we need to do a couple of things. First things first, with the zip file that's been received, we need to depack it. So we're just going to right click, extract all, and just extract to this location. In this case, this is the Farringdon Station Platforms and Tunnels model pack that's been provided by the station project. Once this is unpacked, you can see you've got the GUID folder for that model. If you open that up, you can see all the texture files that came out of the Matterport camera, along with the MTL material link file, which links the JPEGs through to the OBJ. Now the OBJ file is your 3D geometry, and that could be anything from 2 megabytes to in excess of 300, just depends on the amount of scans you have done. Now to be able to use this, we need a piece of software called Blender. Blender is free, it can be downloaded from blender.org, and it's very easy to use. Once you've downloaded and installed and opened, this is the screen you get. Click to hide the splash screen, and the default scene has 3 objects in it. In this case, a cube, a camera, and a light source. We just need to get rid of these. So right click on the object, in this case the camera, hit the little delete key on your keyboard and hit enter. Do the same for the cube and do the same for the light source. This now leaves 0 objects in your scene. Now that we've got an empty scene, we want to bring in the Matterport data. So we go File, Import, Wavefront OBJ, and then we navigate to where the files are stored. In this case, it's in the Downloads folder. Here's the GUID folder, and we just click on the OBJ file and hit Import OBJ. Now, depending on the file size and your computer's speed, this could be a few seconds to a few minutes to import the data. Once the model has come through, and you can see it here, you can rotate and manipulate however you wish, but at the moment all we've got is the geometry. We want to see the textures. To see that, we come down to this icon here on the toolbar, which is the round circle with some arrows beside it, and this display method. And all we're going to do is select texture. By selecting texture, it's now going to look at the MTL file and link the JPEGs to the geometry. And again, depending on your model size, this could take a few seconds through to a few minutes, and that also depends on your computer's processing speed. The larger the model, the more memory and resources your computer will require. Once the textures have come across, we can now export into a format that Unity can recognize, and that's FBX. So we go File, Export, FBX. Again, choose where you want it to be stored. I'm going to put it alongside the Matterport files, so navigate to the same folder, and I'm going to call it something that I'm going to recognize, so I'm going to call it Farringdon there we go, scan. Now, depending on how long it takes you to type a file name and the size of the file, you hit Export FBX, and again this will export the data out in a usable format. Now that information is out, we can come out of Blender and we can open Unity. Now in Unity, we're going to call the project something sensible, so in this case FULmax Farringdon Matterport. Choose where we want to save it and hit Create Project. Unity will now go ahead and open. And here we can see Unity. So what we're going to do, first things first, is we're going to come into our project folder. Now, depending on your layout, your screen might look a little different. In my case, I prefer 2x3 as the layout, but it's completely up to you. So, in the project tab, I'm going to create a new folder called Models, and I'm going to go and find it in the Explorer. Now, the reason for this, I want to be able to import the data into it. So if we come back to our Matterport folder that we had previously, which has got all of the data and now also includes our FBX, we're going to select everything and then deselect the OBJ. The reason for this, Unity struggles importing OBJ files, which is why I've converted to FBX. So once we've selected everything, we're going to copy it over to our models folder. Now as soon as that's copied across, we come back to Unity and it will start the import process. Now again, depending on the size of your model and the speed of your computer, this could be a few seconds, a few minutes. So we're just going to speed up the video and we'll come back to it once all of this importing has completed. Now the model has been imported, we can open up the models folder and we can now see all of the data in there, so all of the textures, and if we scroll all the way to the bottom we can even see the Farrington scan model that came out of Blender. By clicking on the Farrington scan model in the inspector, this will load up the information about that model and we can see a preview of it here. So what we're going to do, we're going to drag Farrington scan into the hierarchy. What this does is it brings the 3D model into the scene. Now we can navigate the scene by rotating and looking from various angles, and if we click on Farrington scan, hover over here and press F on the keyboard, it will focus in on that object. Now what you will notice very quickly, if you're looking at it from either the front or the right, is that the model has come in with the wrong orientation. And this is because Matterport references the up direction in the world as Z. In Unity, the up direction is in Y. So to correct that, we click on Farrington scan, and over in the inspector, in the X rotation value, we're going to put -90. What that does is that now rotates the scan round. So again, if you lose it, click on Farrington scan, hover over a window and press F on the keyboard to focus back in. So we can now see it's there, it's the correct way up, and in the game preview we can see that it is the correct way round now. So the next step is to bring in the FULmax camera modules. So coming back to project, we're just going to hide down the models folder. We're going to right click in here, go import new package, custom package, and we're then going to navigate to the C drive, the FULmax folder, and in here you have the FULmax plugin. So in this case, it's Keystone version 1.3.1. That number at the end may differ, and Keystone might also be dropped as well. But the latest package, you want to open it, and that will then start importing all of the relevant information and libraries for the FULmax software. So we just hit import, that brings everything in, and then once this is processed, you'll see it will bring in all of the different items. We'll then be able to put the FULmax camera into the scene to start using it. So once that's imported, you'll see it's created a couple new folders in the project. We're going to open up the FULmax folder and we're going to drag and drop FULmax into our hierarchy. Now you can see it's created the camera at 000, and as you can see in the game window, that's a bit low. So we're going to now grab that camera, move it up a bit in the world, so you can see as I move it, the view in the game window changes, and I want it to be a little bit, I can move it around to where I want it. So in this case, I want to move it so it's somewhere around here, so I can see these two tunnels either side. So put it somewhere interesting for your project. Now that is done, we are ready to publish to FULmax, and that's as simple as going to FULmax, publish to FULmax. It will prompt you, asking you to save the scene, so call it something sensible. So in this case, I'm going to call it FULmax Matterport of Farrington. And I'm going to just hit save. What that's now going to do is it's going to process that data ready for visualization. Now again, depending on the size of the model, this could take a few seconds to a few minutes. So we're just going to wait for this, and then we'll show you the output. Once the files have exported from Unity, you'll get the usual builds folder pop up, and in here you've got the data folder, the application, and the bat file that allows you to run on multiple screens. In this case, because we're running on just the local computer, when we run this program, you'll get the same experience as you normally do, showing you the 3 screens with the roof above it. Again, depending on the size of the model, just changes the amount of time it takes to load. give it a few seconds, and up it comes. And now we can move around that model just like we would be able to in the FULmax. So this is all ready to go, we're happy, it works. So escape to exit the application, and all we do is copy and paste those files onto a pen drive and take it across the FULmax computer. If you're already on the FULmax computer and double click this run, it will spin up in the normal mode as expected. Now you may find that your models are a little dark. What you can do is you can come in and you can change some of the lighting. So to do that, come up to your window and then you're going to open the lighting and settings. Now if this is the first time you've opened it, it will just pop up in the middle of nowhere. What we can do is click on lighting and drag and drop it to beside our inspector. Now in here we can see that currently our environment lighting source is Skybox. So we're just going to take that, change it to colour, and you'll see the window over here has got a bit darker, but we can now change our ambient colour. Now because the Matterport handles its own lighting, we can just drag that straight up to white, and there you can see the lighting in the scene has corrected. Now you see there are some shadows cast in here, and that's because we've got a directional light currently enabled. Now it's up to you whether you delete that light or not. It can change your environment settings. If you find it's too dark, just put the light back in and increase the brightness in your settings. So I'm going to delete that, and because I'm happy with the lighting in that model, I'm just going to go FULmax and publish to FULmax again. And that's going to update the settings that I've had previously. And again, once that's output, drag and drop it onto a memory stick, take it across to the FULmax, and you can run that file. And that is how we take Matterport scan data through Blender, through Unity, into the FULmax, and total process, depending on the size of the model, can take a few minutes to about half an hour.